Hi there, this is Dr. Unbuddy with Project 10. Okay, so this is a project like a lab you had a little while ago with cards. So we got a card class, same class you had in the lab, and we're using that card class. We're not building anything. That'll be in the Project 11. And so what we have here is a game of solitaire. And let's take a look at how we've set this up. All right, so we're playing a game that's known as Montana. We've got 4 rows each. For us, each row is going to be a list, so we'll have a list of lists. There are no aces in this game, but what we do is we actually use the aces as placeholders. So each of these spots actually, we have to put something there. And so why not use the aces? And then when we print, we just don't print. We just print a blank. All right, so that's, we figured that part of this out for you. And then the rule for playing is pretty simple. So if I have a 10 of hearts here, the only card that can go in here is the Jack of Hearts. Same suit, difference of rank by 1. Similarly here, I got a 4 of spades. So the only card that can go there is the 5 of spades. Okay, that can go in there. This guy can go in there. And similarly, okay, so this has the 7 of spades, so it can get the 8 of spades. The 8 of spades can go there. And then we have the 10 of spades, and we've got a lot of spades here. And so the Jack of spades can go there, right there. Okay, that's your basic rule. All right, we can see this in action. I can take this 5 and I can put it there. And here, now that I've cleared that space off, I can put a 4 in there. And notice nothing else can go in there. All right, but the 4 can. And if the 4 goes in there, the only thing that you can move into an empty space in this first column is a 2. And I can move any 2. I can move that 2. I can move this 2. Any one I want. All right, let's take this one just for fun. Okay, that one went in there just fine. If I tried to move any other card in there, it wouldn't have let me. All right, so that's your basic rules of the game. And down here, you get to re-deal twice. Dealing's kind of strange in that what you have when you deal is you keep any sequences. So we have this very short sequence of a 2 and a 3 here. Those are fixed in place. And you take all the rest of the cards, put them together, shuffle them. And just to the right of any sequence, like here, will go an ace. All right. And if there is no sequence, like we have here, we'll see we end up with an ace there. That is a blank. So let's actually watch this happen. When I shuffle, watch those 2 stay in place. These guys will get just random cards. But those 2 stay in place. Everything else gets shuffled. All right, so let's do that. And so there you go. Now, because of the way this was, it's not very advantageous. But now I can start moving things in there, and in this case, now notice anything else I try to move in there, nope, doesn't let me. But 2 is okay, all right, and then I can just keep going and trying to fill things in. The 7 can go there. King here, well, there's nothing bigger than the king, so that spot is a dead spot. Oh, there's another dead spot. Okay, I can still get a 2 in down here, but now I can't make any more moves, because I can't move anything in there. The only thing I can do is deal. All right, and again, the 2, 3, 4 was kept in place. Now I don't have any more deals. I only had 2. So that's the basics of the card game. The way we do it is we do it as 4 lists of lists. All right, so this will be a list there in that row, and then there's a list for that row, and so on. So we got 4 lists, and let's go down and take a look at. So here we try to do some sorting. And here it is. Okay. So in this case, you can see that there's a sequence. Now there are other sequences, like there's a sequence, but it doesn't start in the left. All right. It's got to start in the left. So here's the sequence, and there's the sequence. Okay. And so when I shuffle, those red ones I marked in, to the left stay. And then at the end of every one of these sequences will be an ace, which is a blank. And then if there isn't a sequence, that goes there to the left. All the other cards were put together and shuffled. Notice we didn't like shuffle a row. We put all the cards together and shuffled them. All right, the okay, so we have some things that we have to do. We give you the display. We ask you to initialize, which is just create a list of 4 lists. There's a function to validate the move, and we actually set it up for you, telling you what the rules are for that. And then you actually make the move, and you're going to want to call the validate move from there. Then you have to check whether there's a win, and then this is the tricky one, shuffling the tableau. And I suggest that you take a close look at this, because that matters. We tell you in order to do these things in, and if you want to pass the test, you want to do things in that that order. Okay, let's see. There was another thing I wanted to point out in terms of order. Yes. Okay, so when you deal the cards, all right, they're dealt from the deck. They're left to right, 1 to each column, filling the top row first. So that's we put those specifications in because we have to have one way of testing this. So let me show you a couple of things here. We do have our card class. You can create cards to play with, but let's see. In the shell here, I better import my cards, and then we can create a card by going to cards. And then we're doing our card class, our card object. There it is right there. And you'll notice that this shows up reminding me that the rank is the first one and suit is the second one. So let me go with a 1 and a 2. And I can print that. Or I can just use the REPR. That calls the STR, that calls the REPR. Let's get a second card. So what are some of the things that we can do? Well, there are methods in here. For example, rank and suit are ones we use a lot. So this card class and deck class, they're designed for card games. So there will be many, if not most of the methods that we won't use here. Different card game, different solitaire game, we might use more of them. But here is a common mistake to make. I can grab the rank of a card. All right, its rank is 1. That was that value right there. But a very common mistake is to forget the parentheses. And so if you said x equals c1.rank, forgot the parentheses, you don't get an error. There's no problem with that. But if you try to print that thing, you get this weird thing printed out. So remember to put the parentheses, and you will actually get something of some value. So let's grab a second card. And that's another ace. And so then we can look at something like, oh, C1.rank, is that equal to C2.rank? Well, they're both aces, so we would expect that to be true, and it is. We can look at their, remember, we've got C1 and C2 here, so we've got aces of different suits. So if I look at suit, we see, okay, that's false, as expected. Let's create another card. Let's create a 2 of a different suit. All right, so now I've got C1, C2, and C3. And a common type of thing that you'll see yourself doing is something like this. C1.rank. If I add 1 to that, that should be the same as C3.rank. Right, except for I need to make that a comparison. There we go. And that's true. So C1's rank was 1. We added 1 to it. C3's rank was 2. And so on. So you could do a lot of those types of manipulations. But one thing I want to the other thing I want to show you is something to be careful of. And I came across this in the shuffle. So suppose I had a function and it has a list of lists in it. All right, simple thing like that. And let's make L1 equal to L2 and see what happens. So in the main part here, I will, just to make it stand out a little bit, I'll have a list of letters. All right, and now what I want to do is call my function and print out L when I'm done. Okay, so let's review what we have here. We start with a list of lists of letters, and then I am going to pass that list. So we start with that list. We take that list and we pass it as a list L. Okay, so that now goes into L1. We've got the second list here. We make them equal. And so you might expect that when I print L here, that it will print this list because, after all, I made them the same. But that's not what happened, and let's take a look at that. Okay, so now I'm in visualizing this, and let's step through it and watch things. Okay, so first of all, there's my function. Next, oops, let's see if we can get that out. There we go. We can see the whole thing. Notice the structure here. Structure ends up being important in this. My L here, all right, that's my L. It's a list of 2 things, right? The first part is A, B, and X, and the second part is X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's representing that list right there. Okay, now we call our function. And notice what happens here. We will go and our L now gets the same name as L1. So L1 is pointing to the same thing that L2 is. Okay, so we have 2 different names now for the same list. All right, let's start our function. So the first thing we do is we create an L2. All right, and L2 again has the same structure. Now we say L1 equals L2. Let's back this up a little bit. Okay, this is before, and notice how, keep an eye on that arrow right there. All right, that's what L1 refers to, and also keep an eye on that arrow. All right, now watch what happens. When we execute the L equals L1, now this L1 points to the L2, but this L arrow has not changed. So when I'm done with this function and I go back and print L, I'm going to see these guys. Right? So even though the list L is, you can see them printed up here. I printed my letters, not the numbers. So even though we make this assignment here, that was done within the function, and even though this is an immutable, that's not what, it's not what comes back. If I want to change the value, so for example, this might be the tableau, and in the function I would like to change the tableau. Let's do this a different way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say L1 of 0 is going to equal, it's going to be assigned to L2 of 0. And L1 of 1 will be assigned, I could do this in a loop too, by the way. All right. So I'm assigning these individually. Let's see what happens. All right, so everything starts out the same. My main program is not changed. L1, we create the L2. Okay, everything to this point is the same. Now watch what happens. As before, be careful, keep an eye on this guy and keep an eye on that guy. All right, those are the ones you want to keep an eye on. All right, what happened? Well, those L1 and L still point to the same list here, but what did I do? I just took L1 of 0 and made it point to this guy. And notice that the A, B, and X is even gone. That's just like totally gone. Back it up here again. There you see it. And now this arrow here is going to point down there. Let me actually draw that in there. We're going to take this arrow here and we're going to point it there. Watch how that happens. All right, there it is. That arrow right there. Okay, it's the one that changed. Then we're going to do the same thing with the other one. We're going to take this arrow and we're going to make it point to where that arrow is pointing to. Next step, and there we see. So now what's happened? A, B, X, and X, Y, Z, they're gone. Right? Notice they were there, and now they're gone because there's nothing pointing at them. Now what does L point to? It points to the 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. And so when I print it out, there we go. So a little subtly in how the lists are handled. And you may find watch out for that when you're working in the shuffle. All right, hopefully that gives you enough of an idea to get started on. Good luck.